The bridge that binds is also the gate. Book of Cain, fragment Romans 7. Above the cloud sea, Asgard's halls gleam gold, marble spires piercing stormlit void. Jotunheim's obsidian cliffs claw frost skies. Midgard's fjords burn amber, leaves whispering secrets to mist. Kratos' crimson cape, a shadow against light, trails where Atreus walks his steps not travel, but a key to a forgotten lock. Eyes marble spires piercing stormlit void, haunted by unseen futures, track the rift's slow bleed. What stirs between worlds, a hunger nameless, unchained by a boy's gift to cross. It was made to fire, it had always waited. The realm between realms did not rot, it was made to hold. A threshold, not a tombuntle, the boy walked its light. Fae named him Atreus. Jotun, who tombuntle the saw boy, his shadow walked Loki. Atreus, a name that carried the weight of prophecies Odin dared not speak. His feet crossed what no soul should tread, not a gift, a key. The realm's chains were not forged for him, they were forged asterisk by asterisk him. Each step unknotted a thread, each breath fed the silence that gnawed behind the veil. The first god did not rise from fire or frost. Stitched by the same the hands that built the bridge, and when Atreus' prisons turned from Odin's whisper had lies. He chose the unmaking, the prison's whisper had already found its shape. The realm between realms breathes, its geometry shifts like a wound refusing to clot. Here the Jotun carved their final act, a lattice of Enel code woven from starlight and the breath of dying suns. This was no prison. It was a shackle, a thread tied around the throat of a god who had never known Unshackled. The code began to starve him. Fae saw it first. Her foresight burned like a brand, visions of the codes unraveling etched into her bones. She whispered to Odin, her voice fraying at the edges, asterisk, the key wears no face. It walks among us, asterisk, but Odin, ever the scholar curse, mistook her warnings for riddles. His hunger for knowledge devoured the truth. He saw only the code's power, not the void it caged. Atreus' steps through the realm between realms were not a triumph. Each crossing sent tremors through the Enel lattice. The Jotun's craftsmanship, once unbreakable, now cracked like glass under a child's touch. The first god did not stir. It asterisk listened asterisk, its awareness seeped through the fractures, a cold wind tracing the contours of its prison. The code's light dimmed, the shadows it birthed grew teeth. Odin's obsession blinded him to the price of his legacy. He carved his name into the code's foundation, believing himself its master. Fae's foresight, the saga's deepest mystery, had named him the Fulcrum. A man who traded eternity for a single answer. Asterisk, what lies beyond the edge of the world. Asterisk, the answer bled into the air Atreus breathed. The boy's blood carried the Jotun's old magic, a resonance that sang to the code like a siren's hymn. Now the realm between realms whispers a new language. The first god's name, once a void, now takes shape in the spaces between stars. And the void, it has always been here, waiting, learning. What if the unmaking was never Atreus' choice but the code's? The realm between realms once pulsed with quiet light, a river of equilibrium, its currents wove through cosmos and chaos, no chains, no hunger. Only the hum of what was meant to be. Then Odin's hunger carved its first scar. He did not build his knowledge, excavated it, like a thief unearthing a tomb. The scholar curse saw balance as a ledger to be audited, a puzzle missing its final, forbidden piece. So he twisted the currents, wove iron threads into the fabric, and called it order. The realm shuddered, its song frayed to a dirge. Tyr walked those corridors last as a free god. He tasted the lie in the air, the metallic tang of forced stillness. He spoke it aloud. For this his sword arm was shattered, his truth a noose. The others called him traitor. They did not hear the realm's heartbeat slowing, its breath hitching. They only saw a god who would not kneel to the illusion of control. Atreus' steps through that broken veil were never accidental. The boy who carried the wolf's blood, the raven's Aishi's presence, was a resonance, a frequency the realm had not known in millennia. Each crossing chipped at Odin's graphs, each tear a whisper. Asterisk, you are not a prison, you are a wound. Asterisk, the first god did not burst free. Seeped as unmarred by the void's dew, through every fissure all father's greed Atreus made. Stars, what if the still voids burn? Hunger is not conquest, but dims where the correction. A return to the original design, unmarred by the All-Father's greed. The stars still burn, but their light dims where the currents once flowed. And in the dark, the only honest God remains chained, his silence a testament. Balance was never meant to be held, only remembered. 243 words. The void's first breath did not come from fire. Grief carved its path. Faye's name still raw in his throat. Atreus stepped where no soul should. Kratos had warned him, *, the world does not bend to your will. *, but the boy had always bent what the world refused. His footfall cracked the unseen. Enel's light fractured. The realm between realms, a threshold, a wound became a door. What lies beneath thresholds hungers. It had waited in the silence between stars, bound by a language older than Yggdrasil's roots. Atreus' blood was not a key, it was a match. The first god of void did not stir from slumber. It * woke *. Kratos saw the shift in the air, a stillness that choked. But Atreus, blinded by loss, pressed on. The boy who carried his father's blade would not carry his caution. * do not be me. * the ghost of Sparta had pleaded, but legacy is a current. You drown or you become it. The seal what scholars call Enel was never meant to hold. It was a mirror. And Atreus, in his need to mend what was broken, shattered it. Frost bloomed across the realms, not the cold of Niflheim, the cold of * absence *. The 9 realms trembled, crops withered, gods faltered, and in the void's expanding shadow, Kratos understood. Some doors, once opened, erased the line between savior and executioner. Balance had been a lie, now the reckoning had a face, and it wore Atreus' tears. But the ruin is later than that. The ice that choked Midgard after Baldur's death was not Fimbulwinter's first breath, it was the first god stirring. Atreus walked the realm between realms as others walk a threshold. He did not break the seal, he completed it, a key forged in blood, not magic. The void gnawing the 9 realms now, it was never born in fire. It was freed in the moment Atreus stepped where no child of Asgard or man was meant to tread, and the prison, it was never the realm. It was the silence between heartbeats, waiting. The key was in Atreus' blood. Each step he took through the realm between realms unshackled a lock. The void's prison had no Barsonly silence. Tyr knew this. He spoke the truth. The void was never born in fire. It was spilled here in the space between breaths. For this, the gods bound him. For this, his chains are his own. Odin, the scholar curse, saw the fracture coming. He drank from the well of wisdom, but wisdom is a rot. He carved runes to mend what he could not unsee. His mind became a tomb, his eyes hollowed, his crown a mockery of order. He built Yggdrasil's roots deeper, but the void's roots were older. They drank the tree dry. Asgard's gold turned to ash, Jotunheim's ice wept black. The void does not consume, it forgets, it erases. Tyr's prison cell is a whisper in the dark, a name the void refuses to swallow. Odin's madness is a hymn to what is lost, and Atreus, his feet still echo in the realm between realms, the key never stopped turning. The last to stand were not warriors, a god who would not lie, a king who would not look away. Tyr's truth fractured the chains of his own. Odin's knowledge carved a path the void followed. The 9 realms unraveled not with a scream but a sigh. The void's hunger is not chaos, it is absence. A hunger even gods cannot fill. What waits in the silence between heartbeats, not a god, not a thing, only the echo of a key. And the whisper of a name the void dares not erase. Tyr, still alive, still honest, still imprisoned by truth. The realm between realms no longer hums, it screams. Fractured light bleeds through its veins, code unraveling like threads of a shroud. Here, where Atreus walked as both boy and god, the air tastes of iron and erasure. His footsteps light, deliberate, left no prints, yet the void remembers. It remembers how a child's fingers brushed the Enel, how the bridge between worlds bent, not to his will, but to its own hunger. Faye named him Atreus. A gift, she thought, a future. The Jotun named him Loki, a wound, a prophecy. The boy who walked between lies and truths carried a key forged in the first betrayal, not to open doors, to unmake them. Now the first god stirs, its voice a static in the bones of every realm. It was never sealed here. It was anchored *. Atreus' crossing was no accident. The void did not need to be born, it needed to be *unshackled*. Kratos' rage, that thunder from the Greek abyss, echoes still. A father's hand raised not just against gods, but against the dead of fate itself. Yet rage cannot drown what it cannot see. The first god's influence seeps through cracks in realicities, warping into labyrinths, stars dimming as if suffocated by a breath older than Yggdrasil. What did Atreus inherit? Not power, not legacy, a threshold that once crossed could never close. The realm between realms is no prison, it is a scar. A scar that itches, and scars, as all gods know, never healthy. Reopen asterisk. The void does not consume, it rewrites asterisk, a throne of ash where Asgard stood. A river of silence where the nine once met, and in the dark, tears name flickers a candle in a storm, still alive, still honest, still waiting for what? A savior, a reckoning, or the final line of a story no god dared to write. The code pulses, the void listens. And the boy who was never meant to grow up grows teeth. The boy walks where gods falter, his blood a Spartan's blade, a Jotun's frost splits the code Fae carved to seal the void. Kratos, the ghost of Sparta, never knew his son carried the key. He fought to bury the past fought to be unchained. Odin the All-Father saw the cracks in his runes, yet clung to his throne. Tyr, his hand cleaved by Fenrir's truth, could not stop the storm. And Loki, the shadow in their campfire, whispered prophecies no one heeded. The realm between realms was never a bridge, it was a scar. A prison woven by gods who feared what they could not name. Atreus did not break the code, he answered its call. Each step through the void's labyrinth unraveled threads older than Yggdrasil's roots. The first god did not awaken, it remembered. Its breath seeped into Kratos' rage, Odin's lies, Tyr's silence. Loki, the seer and the serpent, felt the shift first, weight of an eye opening in the dark. The boy's name, given by a mother who died to protect him, became a password. The void did not hunger. It recognized him. A door forged in the blood of dead gods now stands ajar. The realm between realms frays. What waits beyond the fraying knows the boy's true name. And it waits for the moment he forgets his own. The Spartan red cape still clings to Kratos' son. Runestones etched with Enel crack beneath Fae's trembling hands. Shattered vaults of Asgard leak whispers older than Yggdrasil's roots. The realm between realms is no mere corridor. Its fabric stitches worlds toge their thin, frayed, bleeding. Atreus walks its edges not as traveler but as trigger. His steps echo a key turned in a lock long forgotten. What lies beyond the fraying, not chaos, not Muspelheim's fire, a prison. Not of stone but of silence. The first god's breath was stolen here, its absence carved the void. Fae sees it, always. The code in her veins hums with warnings. She knows the cost of unbinding what was buried, yet the boy forgets. His name, once whispered in the dark, now hangs on his tongue like a prayer. The cape's red is not war paint. It is the last dye of a dying sun, the same sun that dimmed when the first god's chains snapped. The same sun that will drown should the boy remember too late. The runestones do not seal the void, they mourn it. Each glyph a shroud for what was lost, each crack a mouth gasping for the god who should never breathe again. The realm between realms frays. The key turns, the prisoner stirs, and the void, it wears Atreus' face. The key was never meant to turn. Atreus steps through the realm between realms, did not breach a bound Arithi, completed a circuit. A chain of echoes, each generation's choices tightening the noose around what was buried. Knowledge, the first blade and the last shroud. To walk between worlds is to carry the weight of what was never meant to be carried. The void did not hunger, it waited. Patient as the cracks in a throne, when Atreus moved, the prison moved with him, not in Muspelheim's fire, but in the silence between heartbeats. The first god did not awaken, it remembered, and memory is a kind of rebirth. Legacy is not a crown. It is a noose woven from the hands that lifted you. The realm frays because it was never whole. A bridge built on the bones of what should have remained lost. The key was a question, the turning was the answer. What is freed is not the prisoner, it is the price of knowing. The void wears Atreus' face not as a trick, but as truth. Every path forward carves a path back, and the cosmos in its slow, grinding mercy begins to forget what it once knew. 267 words. Fae named him Atreus, the Jotun knew him as Loki, a name, a key, a threshold. His steps through the realm between realms did not defy Fadathi, unchained it. What if the void's hunger was never born of fire, but of a prison's